Good evening, my friends. I am Best. Today, I'll be discussing how the share price may be relevant for a growing firm on payment of dividend. I'll be discussing Walter model. Now, it is purely little bit financial management. Walter model. Now, what is Walter model? He derived one equations where he explained if a growing firm making payment of dividend, how the market price of shares will fluctuate. Now, suppose P is the market price of shares, and D is the dividend payment by the shareholder. Now, suppose I put P money into it, I get dividend D. So, this is said as cost of capital or cost of equity. Now, in Walter model, certain assumptions are there. First assumption is only equity firms are considered. The firm which raise long-term loan or debt, that should not be considered. Next is the business, the company is the main concern and risk is unchanged, and for a given risk it will continue forever. Now, next one, it is said the EPS, earning per shares, for any particular firm, for this company, earning per share and dividend per share, that remain fixed. So, what we got, the firm is continuous one for a given risks, it will continue forever. Only equity firm, that is company with only equity capital, no debt. Next is the growth rate for the firm as well as EPS and D, that is dividend payment, remains same, that is unchanged. Now, in practically, we understand most of the company, whenever for expansions, for capital expenditure, the firm first make the capital budgeting and then the required amount is raised from the company, by the company. Now, K is the cost of equity. Now, D is the dividend per share. So, P is the price of shares. When I put P, I get dividend D. In the end of the year, company has earned certain EPS, then declared dividend I get. So for D return, I put P money. So D by P become cost to me. So I say cost of equity should be D by P. What does it? Now, so price of the firm I can say, which implies P is equal to D divided by cost of equity. This is the price, market price of the shares. So, which is D by cost of equity, dividend by cost of equity. Now, after earning, that is D by KE, obviously there. This is price of the equity. Now, say company has earned E, that is EPS, earning per share, and D, that is DPS, dividend per share. Now, if dividend D is paid out of the earning per share, so balance is is your retained earning. Now this balance of retained earning has a growth rate. When company retain the earning into the company, growth rate say R. So this value become again cost of equity divided by this. As a whole, this is first case the cost of equity, this is second case. So total price become this. This is growth rate, this is E, this is D, this is D by KE, and this is retained. Okay. Here, this is E minus D, that is retained one, where growth rate is R and cost become this. As a whole, cost become this. Only numerator. This is the price D by K. This one. This is growth rate on this fund available E minus D divided by cost become. So as a whole, this is only growth is only E minus D portion, that is retained portion. So this become this. Now if I take the LCM of this and this, it become D plus R by KE at the rate of return on investment. R is equal to rate of return on investment by the company. On investment by the company. This we have to understand. So R by K into E minus D and divided by KE. So what we have got, price of the equity is this. Now price of the equity is equal to dividend per share plus retained earning, earning per share minus dividend by share, return on investment divided by cost of capital divided by as a whole KE. This is to be understood. This is the Walter model. Now, I will show practically. Now we have got P is equal to D plus R by KE into retained earning, that is E minus D divided by KE. Now R is the rate of return. Say this is the formula which you have to remember. We can derive also like this. Now suppose R is equal to rate of return on the investment. Now K is the cost of equity, that is cost of equity. E is the EPS, earning per share. D is the DPS, dividend per share. Now when earning per share you know, say earning per share is ₹10. Now the dividend per share is equal to say 8. I take first as 5. Rate of investment, return on investment, rate of return on investment by the company is equal to say and cost of equity say KE is equal to 10%. What should be the market price of the share? That is a question. Here I am discussing once more Walter model, which explained you firm is the businesses or the company is only with the equity capital, that is only owner's equity, owner capital, no outsider, no debt is there. Next, rate of return is 15%, so remain fixed for the business. Cost of equity also remain fixed. EPS fixed say, DPS 5 say, now K is the cost of equity is 10%. Now here you observe rate of return on investment by the company, that is on the return earning, is 15% and KE is the cost of equity. Now in this case, R becoming greater than KE, cost of equity. When R becoming greater than KE, so it is always advisable to retain certain money and invest into the company so that more return than cost of capitals you must have. Now, if we pay 5 rupees dividend out of 10 rupees, so 10 minus 5 which become 5. Now R is the 15%, so 0.15. This is into divided by K is the 10%, so it is 0.10, and D is the dividend per share ratio 5 rupees, so 5 divided by again 0.10 should be your market price of the share. Now point cancel out, so 3 by 2, 3 into 5, 15 by 2 which is 7.5. So you have 5 plus 7.5 divided by 10%. So 7.5 plus this is 12.5 by 10%. So market price of the share should be 112. This you have to understand. Now, if I say instead of making payment dividend, EPS become 0. So all of the EPS is earned. So this become 10 in that cases. 10 minus 0 is 10. Dividend is 0. You are not making payment of any dividend. So this is 3 by 2, that is 30 by 2. So the 3 by 2, this 15 is 3 by 2 itself, and or say this cancel out, so this becomes 3 by 2. So you are 0 plus 3 by 2, that is 3 by 2 into 10 divided by 10%. So 3 by 2 is 2 into this got 5, 15. So it becomes 15 by 10%. So you have equity price 150 rupees. So that means when you cut the dividend, as the rate of return by the company is more than the cost of equity 10%, so share price will go up. Now, if I say, instead of retaining, if I make payment the whole of the EPS as dividend, so dividend I also declare 10. In that case, let us see what will happen. Dividend is 10 rupees, sorry, this is 10 plus rate of return this by this is 15% by 10%, which is 3 by 2, and this is say 0, 10 minus 0, no 10 minus 0 I have considered 10 rupees, 10 minus 10 is 0, so it becomes 0. So equity price become this divided by again 10%, that is this become 10%, this by 10%. So 10 plus this becomes 0. 10 divided by 10% is equal to 100. So that means when you pay off everything as dividend, share price minimizes. Because rate of return on the investment by the company is more than the cost of equity. If you pay any dividend which is in middle of 0 and maximum 10 rupees, that is EPS, then the share price become middle of 100 rupees and 150 rupees, depending upon more and more dividend declared, it is come closer to 100. Less dividend declared, which maximize return, then it goes closer to 150. So this is the funda, the understanding how the market price of the equities may be influenced by the dividend policy of the company. Now management has to decide whether the earning to be retained for investment purpose. If there is an opportunity, that is rate of return becoming more than the cost of equity, then it is sure that we will make payment of dividend very less amount or no amount in certain cases, because investment opportunities are there, so that in future more EPS and more growth for the firm expansion, book value will increase. This is just I thought I have thrown upon your head to understand how the market price of the share which may fluctuate. Okay, next time I'll explain you where I show here it has the relevancy of dividend declared policy and the share price. Also the Gordon's model which you show, there is no relevance, that is dividend has no relevancy on the price of the shares, as well as Modigliani-Miller's, where the raising the debt instead of only equity will not have any influence on the market price of shares. Okay friends, good night from my side. Babu Gangamotla will speak upon you on the equity valuations every time, and certain times I will provide you chips. Good night, trips.